never underestimate the power of what you do in your ordinary life as not being part of the pushback. Are you buying meat from your farm shop? Do you shop local? Do you try and buy British? These are all the things that are part of pushing back. Do you write to your MP? Do you share things on your social media about the farming crisis and what's going on with various political events? Then you're fighting back, you're making other people aware. Even if you're just talking to friends in the supermarket queue or having a coffee, it's all part of the pushback. It's creating awareness. And more people are opening up to being more verbal about what's going wrong, because what we need to do, we need to stop this onslaught of, we'll call it what you want, stakeholder capitalism, communism, doesn't matter what title you give it, it's tyranny. It's tyranny in everything but its own words. Unfortunately, it's been instigated in our serious institutions. You know, you would think joining the army is a pretty dangerous thing to do, but actually one of the most dangerous places are our universities, because they indoctrinate young people. They're indoctrinating us in Great Britain, our younger people, to feel ashamed of being British. Apparently, Douglas Murray tells us that in a recent poll, only about 40% of Britons under the age of 30 said they were proud to be British. And yet in 2014, I think it was, the percentage was higher. In 2005, it was about 60%. There's lots of different polls going around depending on who you look at. But the thing is, if they can get you to not believe in your country, then they can get you to not believe in anything else. And the whole thing is that what's happening here is they're trying to create a collective so that we never think for ourselves, so that we don't dare to think for ourselves, let alone speak about it. And the way to do that is to destroy your belief system, destroy your belief in religion. Obviously, except if you're on a particular religious wavelength, they seem to get free range. Or the other thing is to destroy your belief in your country, even request to take Winston Churchill's statue down. Trying to encourage young people that Winston Churchill was somehow a bad guy because he had very Victorian ideas. He was born in the Victorian era, so it's no surprise, is it? They seem to completely admit that he avoided complete and utter fascism by avoiding being invaded by Nazi Germany. Nevertheless, the Germans have still managed to try and get hold of Europe through the banking system ever since the two world wars failed. But the thing is, you've seen it with the statues being pulled down. These aren't educated people, these are indoctrinated people who were being brought up to think that Britain and its religion, its footing for war and its colonisation were all bad. I'm not saying it was all good, but I do believe that with Britain we left a lot of colonial countries in better shape than they were when we took over. But let's leave the past behind for a minute. Let's fast forward to now. What's happening now? Well, it's a determined effort to get you to disbelieve in everything you've been taught and to basically trust the government even before you trust your own family. Where's the proof? Well, the proof is that 6 policemen turn up to a woman's house to discuss her comments on a WhatsApp group about how she's not happy with trans issues being taught in school to basically very young children under the age of 6. That's, again, it's this push to get you to trust authority for running your life over and above your family network. If they can break the family unit down, they've won. But this is really the last bastion of where we live. After that, they just control it inside your own head. Once they get into the home, that's end of days. But they're not there yet because a lot of families kick back. I get messages from students who know exactly what's going on. They just keep their mouth shut at university to get through the coursework, get the degree and get out of there. And of course the university system's been watered down. You used to be a privileged few. When I was at school, 3 people from my year went to university. Well, 3 went on to sixth form to go on to university. We all left at 16 to go and get jobs. That's how it was in those days. It was a privilege to get that education. Now it's being treated as a God-given right. What's happened to the apprenticeships? There's nobody going into apprenticeships. When really, that's where the money is these days, because everybody's got a degree. And just because you've been taught something doesn't mean you can actually do it. It means you've absorbed the knowledge about doing it. Putting it into practice can be a completely different thing. That's why you end up with good lawyers and duff lawyers. Same with doctors. And basically it's all a form of cultural Marxism. And if you Google what it's about basically compartmentalising people, making them in sides, this side, that side, the left, the right, the black, the white, whatever labels they put up on it, to rev them up enough to be against each other. Because if they're against each other, you'll never come together. It's actually going on now with our own political party system. I'm guilty of it myself in some ways, because I would never vote Labour, and I'm saying quite a few distasteful things about the Tory party, but I'm trying to put you off the way the political system is run and open it up for a third party that can come to the forefront, that can change the system. Proportional representation, where the man, woman who wins the most votes, if you do have to form a coalition, you have to go with a party that's won, rather than what happens in France and Germany, which is the two losers get together and then outnumber the winner. You've seen what's going on in politics. They really are dismantling democracy. It's not just that it's being faded out, it's being dismantled, because the council elections in our own country, Labour have cancelled many so that their incumbent politicians can't be unseated. They've given you another reason about boundary changes, but that's just a cover story. You've seen in France how Marine Le Pen's been treated, and now in Germany they're even talking about Alice Wilder from AfD, Alternative for Deutschland, not being able to stand in future elections. Now, the thing is, all you need to notice, this is part of the fight back, is the same stooges are always in play, they're just repositioned. So, for instance, Mark Carney, an absolute socialist, was the former head of the Bank of England. How did that go? Not too good. And now, where is it? Oh, he happens to be running Canada on the behalf of Justin Trudeau, who doesn't even deserve to be in power, because he scraped through. And the Conservatives are very much against Carney. Carney is one of these devious individuals who likes the high life. Apparently his wife complained that she only got £7,000 relocation fee to move house, to move her stuff. And that wasn't enough apparently, because the Carneys are very high people. And yet they preach socialism. That's the bit that sickens me. It's never them that have to live by the rules. So I'm going to show you a little clip. It's from Mark Carney. It's basically him explaining how the Chinese will be... Excuse me, I set him off then. How the Chinese will be at the forefront of a financial structure that is bound to work. There he is. This has been put up on Twitter by a Canadian Conservative politician.
The momentum behind this agenda is now tremendous, and it'll be important that China is center stage to shape this new global, sustainable financial system.
Now, what that basically means... Excuse me, that's a video about dogs. When he says China will be centre stage, you need to Google, there's plenty of videos on YouTube, Chinese social credit system. Just Google that and watch a few videos on it. This is where various areas in China, when I say areas, I'm talking 28 million people, provinces, where this new system has been brought in. It's like policing without police, it's surveillance, and basically your day-to-day life will be judged on your behaviour. Your ability to spend money when you want to spend it and where you want to spend it, even your ability to accept it into your bank account. It will be based on basically minutiae monitoring of your behaviour. For instance, a man in a particular province in China can no longer use public transport because his dog has been fouling the pavement. The other things that you can have are things like if you've got people in your contacts in your phone who have been downgraded with the Chinese social credit system, that goes against you too. So what it is, it's basically a point-based system where if you behave well, you get points, you grow in points. If you behave badly, you decrease in points. And when you get to a certain level, they even splatter your name and your face on billboards in public transport areas like train stations and bus stations, telling people what you've done. It can be something as little as jaywalking. It can be something as insignificant as a diabetic buying cake. Everything will be linked to your smartphone. There'll be no currency as such. It'll just be this credit system. That's why they call it a social credit system. So every aspect of your life would be policed. That's what he's on about. That's what Carney's on about. So he might sit there in a suit talking about building homes in Canada, but this is a dangerous man. This is a man who does not want you to live your life the way you live it. And he's part of many people, Ursula von der Leyen, Macron, Varadkar. These are people that were all positioned into politics. Starmer in our own country. What was she called? Looks a bit like Mr. Ed. What's she called in New Zealand? Jacinda Ardern. She's now with Money Shot, whatever he's called. No, that's porn. Earthshot, that's it. With Prince William, who's basically going to carry on in his father's footsteps. You can't trust the king. You know, people quite often come onto my channel or come onto my thread saying we have a constitution and we should go back to the Magna Carta. Completely agree, but I'm afraid we're a few hundred years too late for that one. It's not been taken any notice of for a long time. And that's why I say things like the system's set up. It was set up to protect us and it's now failing us because the very people that were there, the House of Commons, the House of Lords, the King himself, Queen, whoever, they were supposed to look out for us to make sure that when we handed over our sovereignty, because it belongs to us, sovereignty belongs to the people, not Parliament. We hand it over on trust. We trust them with it. We vote them in to look after our interests. And for years now, we've done that in good faith. And we haven't had anything back for it. We've had people who simply butter us up to take a vote and then get on with exactly what they want to do, no matter what they said before an election. Most disinformation comes from your number 10, because he said he'd look after the pensioners, he said he'd look after the students, he said he'd be spending on infrastructure. None of this has taken place. And now he's coming out to the polls for the council elections. So what you have to look at is every time you spend cash, every time you use local shops, every time you use your dog groomer or a dog walker, a small independent business, your mobile hairdresser, your one-man band plumber, every time you do something like that, you are fighting back, because this is all the stuff they don't want to exist. This is all the things that we have making freedom of choice our very, very own, is what they want to dismantle. And it's never been more serious now than to promote family values, encourage people to be family orientated, and I would even say, if you can afford it, as you get older, seriously think about generational living, about pooling your assets, you know, maybe with a younger, you know, your younger offspring, your retirement age, you might have paid your mortgage off, your son's working in a good job or self-employed, pooling your resources and living together so that they could actually get a mortgage on the property with your cash influx. If you trust each other and you get on, obviously. If your dagger's drawn, don't do it. Make your life a bloody nightmare. Some people won't even be able to do that option. But seriously think about that to avoid hospitalisation and all people's homes, because simply it cannot be trusted anymore. Our system's broken down. Forget saving the NHS, it's finished. What we've got is substandard healthcare, labelled up as the NHS. Your hospitals are dirty, your waiting lists are too long, some of your doctors are fake, some of your nurses don't speak English. People are more worried at my age of going into hospital and catching something when they've gone in than they are of having the actual operation. So that's where we sit today. So we don't need to worry about losing the national health system, we've lost it. And much as I don't agree that we should have to pay national insurance and pay for our healthcare, I do think as you get older, you're going to have to consider using some of your disposable income for your own health, because the system that's supposed to be there to look after you has been depleted and shared out with too many people. It cannot sustain it, and I doubt you'd get good service. I'm not knocking the frontline doctors and nurses. They're doing the best. Generally speaking, they're pretty good people. It's vocational to a lot of them. And, you know, I know nurses and doctors who are very, very nice people. Dr. Tek Kong, he's great, and he went into politics to try and change the NHS. He's a completely sincere man. But unfortunately, the system, the management, it's run like China. And if we stay on this track with Keir Starmer, and I do not promote reform because I am loyal or, oh, Nigel, I've never called anybody a hero that's in politics, not once. I look at reform as the only thing far enough forward with enough capacity to try and change things just a little bit. That's all. Don't look at it any deeper than that. Because whatever other people are saying about setting up new parties and vote for UKIP, you've absolutely no chance of them changing anything. It's too far gone. You know, at least now there's hundreds of candidates out there in the council elections that will hopefully take some Labour seats. There's by-elections coming up. Hopefully that will work. This isn't about blind loyalty. I would never be blindly loyal. You get my loyalty because you've got my trust, and if you've got my trust, it means you've never let me down. That's how loyalty works for me. If you let me down, no need to be loyal. So I can't be loyal because they haven't proved themselves yet. But I do know that whatever you think's going on, and no matter how much you concentrate on the little boats, and it is a massive problem, trust me, it is not the only problem. And with a different regime, you would have a different outlook. Can you imagine somebody like Nigel or Rupert Lowe? Forget the thing that's going on with them at the moment. Can you imagine either of those individuals employing Susan Michel, known communist, to advise on government strategy for lockdown? Just, can you imagine that? No, they'd never have done it. So therefore, that advice would be completely different that would be coming in. They'd probably have advisors that maybe looked at Sweden more closely and followed their lead. That's where it all goes to pot. It's all about the people around them, these powerful people that aren't actually government but influence government. Professor Ferguson, in his absolutely disastrous modelling that shut the country down, had people terrified for no good reason. I'm not saying it wasn't real, and I'm not saying there weren't a lot of sickly people, but there were a lot of sickly people in December 2017 and January 2018. 64,000 extra winter deaths. It didn't even make the telly. It didn't even come on the telly, it was just in the papers. People on trolleys because of extra winter deaths, because of flu. So, unfortunately, you get your government, and it all depends on who their advisors are. So what I'm saying is, it's all right concentrating on the little boats, the grooming gangs. These are massive social issues that affect what goes on. But the big picture, and the big picture I'm telling you now, is men like this, men like Carney, in powerful positions, repositioned Bank of England, then he goes to the EU, now he's in Canada. They just move them around. They're still getting on with it. And we have to look at the big picture. And we have to look at our best way of slowing this lot down. Because I don't want to live under a Chinese social credit system at all. I don't want to share the stuff out that I own. I don't want to give it away to someone who's going to own it, not me, because I worked for it. It's mine. You'll own nothing and be happy. No, I won't. I won't be happy at all. And why should you have it, whoever you are? Who gets all the stuff? That's what gets me. They're even trying to condition you into not having pets. Oh, look, you can get a cyber dog. I don't want a bloody cyber dog. I want one with a beating heart and warm eyes and something that feels alive and natural. I don't want some Chinese bloody toy. So we're being attacked by all end to diminish the family. That's the end goal. They're struggling because we are very family orientated, and in a strange sort of way, the people that they seem to favour, who have big families, They're particularly family orientated. So how's it all going to pan out this? How stupid is it all going to be eventually? So, as I said at the beginning, if you're using a farm shop, shopping local, you've got a mobile hairdresser, using a little hairdressing shop, you're spending your money with local businesses, you're fighting back. That's all part of the fight back. We are a lot of people, and there's a lot of people very upset, and it's the volume that's the force to be reckoned with. Oh, don't forget to subscribe. Click that bell, not bell. Click subscribe, I keep forgetting.